For almost 30 years, 75 Chrome Shop has been a family-run business with a dedicated team of longtime employees. We stay ahead of the curve in the ever-changing trucking industry, providing top-notch customer service and product knowledge. Whether you're looking for the latest chrome accessories or hard-to-find parts, we've got you covered. We offer aftermarket chrome for all big rigs, custom vinyl lettering, acrylic signs, and tags. Our 10,000 square foot facility, the oldest chrome shop in the South, houses a mechanic shop for oil and tire changes and chrome installation. Plus, we have a huge selection of lights for every vehicle on the road. Don't miss our annual truck show every April featuring over 200 trucks and family-friendly entertainment. Visit 75 Chrome Shop today, your truck's new best friend. All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest. I've known her for a long time. Went to school together for the end portion of our high school career. Not to say she's older than me, but she's a little bit older than me. A little bit. But without any further introductions, our special guest today is Miss Stacy Kinley. Stacy, welcome to the Goblay Show.
Thanks. So glad for meeting me here early this morning. I love it. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be number 3 of my family that gets to be on the Goblay Show.
Yeah.
I feel fancy.
Yes.
You're kind of in the situation that I was in, and it's just a different. And if you've never walked in it, you don't understand it. But John had children from his first marriage.
Right.
And so you're their step parent, you know. And then for us, we had children together. And so you're kind of navigating that as well.
Right.
And my stepkids raised me, I think, they taught me all kinds of things, and I love them. And only for purposes of understanding who is who do I ever refer to them as my stepchildren, because they're just all mine. And I know that that's how you feel too. Yeah. Like, they're all mine. I love them as much as I love their brother and sister. So we're just blessed. And then Jesse as well. We adopted, when John and I first started dating, we adopted one of his football players was living in the house with him when he and I first started dating. And then he went on to play college football. And so we've just always raised them all like they're all our own. And so you're right. Yeah, they 100% raised me.
I have a similar situation to that. When I grew up with the Fussels and Jonathan Camp, and I worked out there as a kid till I was probably in my 30s. And similar situation. Both grandparents pass away, and I tell Marvin and Marion Fussell, I said, whether you like it or not, I'm yours. You're my grandparents now. And so I think people, like you said, adapt earlier. You adapt to people.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you I told them, whether you liked it or not,
you build your own village.
Absolutely.
You build your own village. My supervisor at the property appraiser's office was such a dear friend of mine, and actually walked through what I walked through before me. So in reference, I just always look to her. I remember when there was a short time that I went to South Georgia, and I worked for a tax assessor in South Georgia for a short time. I thought that's where I was going to be. I thought that's where I needed to be before I met John and all this stuff. And I went, and she just welcomed me with open arms. I was like, I'm packing my stuff. And she's like, you can stay with me until you go. And then, so there was all those things that came into play to put me where I needed to be. But you just build your village. And those people still check on me today. Oh, yeah. They're still like, how are you? Checking in and all that kind of stuff. But yes, so, I worked for the property appraisers. I became a hairstylist. And then, life happens. You raise your kids. We raise our 5 kids. And then a couple of years ago, I went to my annual appointment, our annual girly check. Yeah. So thank goodness we know each other, because this is gonna be the interesting stuff.
You're good. No, you're good.
So I go to my annually girly check, and they, I was 40. 3. And so she's like, it's time for your first mammogram. And I'm like, okay, I need to get that. Prior to going to her, she was a new doctor to me, but prior to going to her, my yearly checks had been by a different doctor. And I always just you've never been, but you go in and they lay you down and you take off your clothes and they kind of, give you a little breast exam and everything.
Right.
And so I'm like laying there, on the bed and I'm like, how am I ever going to know? How am I going to know? Like, what's it going to feel like?
Right.
Because I feel like my boobs are kind of lumpy anyways. And he was like, you would know. If you ever felt something, you would know.
Right.
He said the easiest way is when you're in the shower. Your skin's slick, you're in the shower, check yourself in the shower. And if you can get out of the shower and find it again, then have someone else try to find it. And if they can find it, then it's time to call me.
Right.
And we'll do something about it. And so, in July, I went for my annual appointment, and I, like every woman I know that is over 40, we take that little prescription that they give us for our mammogram, and we stick it in our glove box, or you stick it in your console of your car, and it sits there until you get a minute or you remember to do it. Well, in November, I was in the shower, and I felt something. And I was like, that doesn't feel right. So I get out of the shower, and I dry off, and I'd see if I can find it. I can find it again. I asked my husband to find it. He's like, I'll try to find it. And he's like, of course I will, And so he goes and tries to find it. And he's like, yeah, I do feel something. So I take out that prescription that I still hadn't went. And I went and I had my first mammogram. And so I'll never forget. So I had to wait like a month. It was crazy. I was at work. It's Christmas season in, the hair salon. Everybody wants their hair done. And I'll never forget. It was a Tuesday, and life had just been so busy that we hadn't gotten our Christmas tree up. It was like December 15th.
Right.
And we hadn't gotten our Christmas tree up yet. And so I was working late, and my husband was home with our 2 younger kids, and they were decorating our Christmas tree. My son is a senior in high school. And it's like 4 o'clock or 4:30 or something like that. And I'm like, that doctor hasn't called me back yet. And somebody we went to school with reached out to me and works for the imaging place, and was like, hey, I see your results are in. You should call your doctor. And I was like, okay, I should call my doctor. So I call, and of course the doctor had already left for the day. So I bully the nurse. into reading me the results. There's good and bad to that. So I bully the nurse into telling her, like, I know you got the results. Can you tell them to me? And she's like, well, the doctor's already left for the day. And I'm like, I just need to know. Can you tell me? The nurse is like, you have invasive ductal carcinoma. And I was like, in the back room of the hair salon, I'm like, what?
Yeah. Come again?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
And she goes, it means you have cancer. You have breast cancer. And I was like, okay, can you have the doctor call me tomorrow?
Yeah.
Why hasn't she called me before, right? So, and I'll never forget, I walk into the salon. The salon is slammed. And it's funny now when I look back on it, because it would be like you coming into the salon. So there's a guy there getting his hair cut. Gail's cutting his hair. And I walk out, and Gail sees it all. She knew I'd been waiting for the results. She sees it all over my face. And immediately she stops. And she gathers around me, and she starts to pray. She's like, we're going to pray. We're going to pray over this right now. And so he still comes in and gets his hair cut. And he's like, how you doing? Because he was there from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's what I think when I see him. But and she just prayed over me, and she was, and that helped. I was cutting my best friend's husband's hair, and while I'm cutting his hair, he's texting his wife, like, you need to get here. By the time I left that night, my closest friends were sitting in the salon. And we're sitting there and we're crying and we're figuring this out,
Right.
But I knew that I couldn't go home because John's like decorating the Christmas tree with our kids. And so I called him, and I'm sobbing, and I'm like, I'm not in a place to come home right this second.
Right.
I'm going to sit here and I'm going to calm down. And I'm not sure if we're going to tell the kids yet. Let's wait a second. Let's not tell them while they're decorating the Christmas tree.
Right.
Just tell them I'm running late. And he's like, take all you need. And he gets mad. Like, he's like a fighter, So he's like, you better toughen up. You better get your game face on. And I'm like, let me just absorb it first. So,
yeah.
And so the things that, like you said, the things that stay with you, what Miss Cloud said to you, I will carry this forever, and I will share it with anyone. So John and I, for years, had been, we had been like church. We had been a part of a church, and you get like church hurt, and then you kind of wander for a little while. So we wandered for like 10 years trying to find a church, trying to find a place that just felt like that's where we needed to be.
Right.
And a year or two before this happened, we had found our church. We had found our church family. And my best friend was there at the salon that night, and I'm locking the door, and she's like, Stacy, Jesus has been preparing you for this. God has been preparing you for this. This is why you've become so involved in your church. And I'm looking back, now that you're on the other side, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Like I have that now. And then the other thing she said is, and it's like, it's just crazy. She said, the devil doesn't break into empty houses. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
The devil doesn't break into, and so I just tried to hold that. So then it went on, I found, like all the people just get put in the right places. Like you build your village, but then like this random person that you didn't really think you knew, oh, well, I had breast cancer. Let me call you and help you.
Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709.
So I have a fantastic oncologist. I ended up going to making appointments with Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa. Timing for me is terrible, and I just couldn't hold on to it anymore. I told my kids on Christmas Eve, what? I just couldn't hold it in. I'm like, we're going to be with all of our family.
Yeah.
And I knew that like my sister-in-laws knew, so I was like, we got to tell them because if we go there and their aunt's hugging them, then we're like, so I just again ripped off the Band-Aid and was like, here we go.
Exactly.
Guess what? So I had surgery in March. And so it took some time. Like those are the things we don't think about. Like when you see it on TV, you see it unless you've went with somebody that's went through it. So I was diagnosed in December. I had appointments in January, and I didn't have surgery until March. By the time I had surgery in March, my tumor had grown exponentially. Like it had grown twice the size. But the pathology from the original biopsy in January was different. And so had they had known that, my treatment plan probably would have been a little bit different. I probably would have done chemo first.
Right.
But because of that, I had to do some really aggressive chemo. So then I had surgery in March. I had a second surgery in April because I didn't heal properly. And then I started chemo on May 15th. And I was 44 years old. And I'll never forget, I had treatment in Brownwood, which if you need treatment or anything like that, and I know Stacy went there, your sister went there as well for treatment. They are so nice. They're fantastic. But, and I'm blessed to have fantastic insurance and all the things through the school board. But I was just sitting there and you're scared to death. Like, you're putting poison in your body.
Absolutely.
And you read all the stuff. Like, you can Wikipedia yourself to the grave if you want to, or the WebMD.
WebMD, you're already dead.
Oh my gosh, you're done. So I did that, and it was so funny because I cried the first time. I cried, and she's like, "Are you crying because you're here, or are you crying because you're scared?"
Yeah.
And I was like, both. Like, I don't even know how to answer that.
Both, yeah.
But it's post-COVID, so where nobody can go in with you.
Right.
So you're in there all by yourself.
Right.
And they're putting poison into your body. They're putting poison into your body, Billy, that they have to wear a hazmat suit to administer it to you. And that's like, oh my gosh. So we put on our big girl panties and we did it. We did 16 weeks of chemo. By the second treatment, my hair fell out. My best friend from high school came on Memorial Weekend, and she's like, I want to shave my head with you. Before you lose your hair, I want to shave my head with you. So we went to the salon, and she shaved her head, and that was hilarious. 2 days later, my hair fell out. And so that was traumatic. Everyone, you can be beautiful with a bald head. You can wear a wig. You can wear a scarf. You can do whatever you want to do. But nobody prepares you for the hair to fall out of your head.
Right.
To be covered in hair.
Right.
I was able to work through it. I mean, chemo was hard, but not being able to get up. I think getting up and having a purpose, like knowing I had to go to work, was so much easier than just sitting there and like thinking about it and dwelling on it. So then after I did chemo all summer, and then after that I did radiation. I did 30 days of radiation, and which is okay. So here's the thing about doing radiation in the villages, and I'm going to leave a lot of it to your imagination and you can fill in the blanks. So these radiation technologists, so everyone in the villages, obviously they're 55 and older, right?
Yeah.
So you go to this place to have treatment. And at first I was really uncomfortable. Like they're like playing with your boobs and getting you right. And they give you like these tattoos to like line up. Like they give you these little dot tattoos so that they can line
You're good.
They can like line everything up.
Right.
And I was like so uncomfortable at first.
Right.
But then I realized like they're seeing a lot of like saggy skin. So,
that's the first thing you thought of.
Well, I mean, we're going to keep it in perspective, right?
Know, right?
Like,
okay, yeah.
So,
True.
I mean, it made you feel better.
Yeah, and it probably eased the tension a little bit, in the room where you're like, oh, well.
I mean, they're like...
There's a silver lining in every situation.
That's so true. So right now I am, so that was a year ago this week, and so I'm cancer free.
Amen.
And everything's good.
Awesome.
I have to be on medicine for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Which puts me in like a stagnant state of menopause, where all of us that are going through menopause, at least that at some point there's going to be a place where you can like be done with it, because like the random hot flashes and the night sweats and all the things, or like I can get really angry, like the mood swings. I'm like really angry, and John's like, you're really angry over that. I'm like, I know I shouldn't be, but I am. Like I feel passionately about whether or not the salt shaker is right there. So all perspective, but to say that I just want everyone to know that if they're walking through this, and that you can get through it, and it's about perspective, and it's about I went to a women's luncheon during treatment, and I'll never forget a dear friend of mine who was a pastor's wife turned around to me and she was like, Stacy, this is going to be your testimony. And it just goes back to what Wendy had said, like God had been preparing you for this. So I'm in a position where I can share that. I get to share it with you, and get to share it with the people that listen to your show.
Right.
I get to share it every day behind my chair. Like,
absolutely. These
are the things that you can do. The things that nobody tells you about. Did you know, Billy? It's interesting. Let me just tell you this.
Oh, man.
So when you have surgery and you're having like some kind of cancer surgery, and they're going to remove the tumor, and they want to check your lymph nodes, the way they check your lymph nodes is they fill your body with dye. And then the dye goes into your lymphatic system because it's trying to distribute it. After the surgery, you're going to pee the color of that dye. But nobody tells you that.
No.
Until you think you're dying and your pee is blue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, people need to know that. I feel like that is something you need to know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to die because my pee is blue. That is not normal. When I went into the surgery, it did not look like that. And now I come out and it's like that. So it's just little things like that. Again, radiation takes like 30 seconds. Like, it's so quick. The havoc that radiation wreaks on your body after you have it done, I'm a year out from that, and that is not great. Like, it's, like your body's just trying to process it, and it like shrivels everything up like a raisin, So don't read the Radium Girls. Like, suggestion: don't read the Radium Girls and go through radiation at the same time. So that was a book club book that I was reading.
I was about to say, I don't think I Saw that one. But
Okay, so do you know what the radium girls are?
no, I don't.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I don't.
Okay, so like in World War I, they discovered that radium glows. And so they hired women because everyone else was busy, going to war and stuff and
Right.
making, doing things. So they hired these women to paint the control panels of the airplanes, and because they would glow at night.
Gotcha.
And then like watch faces and compasses and all this stuff for the military. But they glowed. And so these women would go out and they would be glowing. So then they started painting it like all over themselves. But the crazy thing is that like they would like dip their tongue on the paintbrush and then like to get it wet and then dip it in the radium powder and then do it. So like eventually their jaws are falling off. And
Oh yeah.
so, and they're glowing at night. So they're like going out and like covering themselves in it.
Mm-hmm.
And these women are dying and they didn't know why. Like, so it's crazy, but just FYI, when you're putting radiation into your body, maybe don't read that book.
Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Well, sidebar to that, there's a story of, when they were doing the Area 51, the nuclear test and stuff back in the Manhattan Project and all that in New Mexico. They have, someone was talking about how they did a John Wayne film back in the day, and I don't know which film it was, but they filmed it in this remote location where they had a nuclear bomb go off and it was there was so much radiation that everybody on the set died of the same thing, all the same causes.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll have to figure out which one it was, but they said that now obviously John Wayne didn't die from that, but the people in the crew and stuff. So I don't know what, like, they were like sleep on the ground, or, you know what I mean, like what caused all that. But it was really weird how everybody across the board, like all these people, there was like a list of people that died.
That's crazy.
They all got cancer of some kind of but they all died the same way.
So, and I won't blast her on your podcast because I don't know if that's what she would want. But there's somebody that you went to high school with that a year ago was diagnosed with breast cancer, and within the year has now been diagnosed with colon cancer.
Oh, I gotcha.
And she's from here.
Gotcha.
I think. I mean, I remember her in high school.
Right.
But that's the first thing her oncologist asked was, were you in did you grow up in a town that had like compromised water sources? Yeah. Or did you grow up near a factory?
Yeah.
That's kind of scary because I can't remember where she lived. So,
absolutely.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with, like, people don't realize how blessed they are with just regular drinking water. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like Flint, Michigan, it's messed up there.
It is crazy.
It's crazy how just little things that we take, everyday things that we use,
that we take for granted. Now, obviously, you can't fight genetics. I did not have any predisposed genetics.
Right.
So, and the type of breast cancer I had was in my milk duct. They got it before it spread. My lymph nodes weren't involved. So I am very, very blessed.
Absolutely.
That, I caught it early. Again, checking yourself is important.
Yes.
Making sure, keeping up with your yearly appointments is also super important. But yeah, you don't think about the environmental stuff.
No.
Back to making bread and making lunch.
It all goes back to bread.
Welcome to the Billy and Stacy Bread Making Podcast.
Today's loaf is pumpernickel.
Instead of a drink of a week, we can have the loaf of the week.
Yeah, loaf of the week.
I love it. We're doing it. So when you research all this, when you're Wikipediaing everything and doing all this research, you realize that it's crazy the things that become the list of things that you will avoid for reoccurrence.
Right.
Or and one of the number one things that causes a reoccurrence in women of any type of cancer, but particularly breast cancer, is processed meats.
Yes.
that crazy?
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
It's crazy.
quit eating hot dogs because they're
Yes.
full of bananas. Or I mean, they're not full of bananas. They're full of crap. But it's just bananas that they're. Anyways, that never mind. But
Well, they showed, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, McDonald's French fries.
Yeah.
Okay. I love McDonald's French fries.
I saw that, and it was like in the U.S. and then
yes.
versus Europe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I make bread,
That'll make you not want to eat anymore.
Agreed. And so I found like a recipe that for lunch meat, and so I make our lunch meat. I have begun making our bread because in my bread there are 6 ingredients in the bread we make.
Oh wow.
6 ingredients.
Yeah.
So in the lunch meat I make, there is 6 ingredients, and that's like most of them are marinades. It's
Right.
chicken and then all the seasonings for marinades. So
Do you have a smokehouse in the back? Or I could see you like turning John's shed into his bar into a smokehouse.
He trades the Jeep in for a horse and buggy. JK's Bar and Grill becomes JK's Smokehouse.
That might work.
It might, yeah.
JK Smokehouse.
We'll put a little farm stand out in front of the house. Like, we'll sell eggs. We'll get chickens. I'm sure my neighbors, they won't mind it. It'll be by the cow.
Yeah.
So.
We'll have Gauntlet and them raise the free-range chickens. Madison can take care of them.
Yeah, she'll take care of them. That's great. We'll do it. It's the Willow Creek Homestead.
You can get a rat off for that. That's an ag belt.
Yeah, maybe it's a way for us all to have cheaper property taxes. There's a few in there. We can have them. They can be like we can assign duties to everyone. Yeah. In my mind, I'm running through people. I'm not gonna like blow them up on social media.
Yeah.
You get to be the guard. You're the guard. You're the fisherman.
I don't want to be the compost guy. I don't want to do that. You get to spread the BS.
I love it. It's like Farmville,
Yeah.
Like we can.
Farmville's making a comeback. Did you see that?
No,
It's back.
We have it at Willow Creek.
Well, I keep up with everything.
So this is interesting and kind of leads to that, which doesn't help my fight anymore, but it's kind of funny. But it's also awesome.
Right.
The Lackeys are building like a food forest. Have you heard of these?
No, I haven't.
So
A food forest.
A food forest is what it's called.
Okay.
And they do it in Europe, and like they plant like apple trees and orange trees and
okay.
things like that, like as their decorative trees, and then the homeless and people in like when they do it in Europe and other places. In our neighborhood, we're just doing it for Willow Creek, but they've started planting like fruit trees,
Right.
In their yard and around their yard as their landscaping,
Okay.
and so that we can be self-sustained in Willow Creek Homestead.
That's your cover crop for the year. Is Fuji apples.
Right. That's interesting. But yes, so we have definitely started doing that. And I'm making my own lunch meat, getting away from all the processed crap. But yes, so that's what we're doing. So now we're just working on awareness and sharing our story with as many people as we can, and just that's what we're doing.
Well, let me tell you something. When you were diagnosed and I found out, and it's one of those things where it's so hard to talk to someone when they've been just found out, or there's nothing you can say. It's like when someone this is my own thing, but it's like when somebody has a family member or a friend that passes.
Right.
You say, if you need anything, let me know. They don't ever ask.
No.
They never ask.
No, of course.
But you mean that. You just want, and I tell people that all the time. If there's anything I can do, please don't hesitate. And people they don't want to even bother people. You know what I mean? They're going through something, but I think more or less it's just, I'm there.
Oh, absolutely. You just want to know. And I had such a great support system. If you ever have anyone that is going through any kind of treatment or anything like that, do you know, like, food always helps, like cooking for your family. But, after a while, you've got so many casseroles in your freezer.
Absolutely.
Food always helps, and that's always. But you know what I wanted? I wanted somebody to come clean my toilets. I wanted like
Yeah.
come sweep my floors
Yeah.
because I don't feel like doing it,
Yeah.
go wash my car.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I think about now because those are the things that I wanted,
Right.
like again, you appreciate everything like
Right.
but they're just sometimes like, because then the other person is carrying the burden of everything. So
Right.
John was cleaning the house and doing all that kind of stuff. But like, those are the things that I thought about. And maybe that was just me, but I just think like, somebody just come like clean my toilets for me
Right.
or mop my floors.
Right.
Like just hire a maid service or come and do it yourself,
Right.
just like, let me get out of your house. Let me make it smell good and do all that just because, or clean your car because you're going to treatment. You're going to this every week.
Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right.
It's awkward. So, and I guess it's a defense mechanism. I don't know. But I just you got to make light of it, right? Like you got to laugh about it. Like this is where we're at. I was able to get through it. I think that everyone can. It's again about perspective, about faith, about knowing that God has put you in a place. And I have without any doubt that this was my journey. This is where I'm supposed to be. I am supposed to be able, like he said, he's like writing his book, and he's like, Stacy, this is going to be Stacy's journey, and she's going to share her story, and she's going to be able to walk through it, and all her craziness and all the stuff. She's just going to be able to share it with everyone, and he's put me in a place that I can do that, and I'm just so blessed for that, and just to know that like you don't have to. Chemo is terrible. It is terrible and it is hard, but we can do hard things. Like we can do all three things through Him, who gives us strength. And that's the thing that we wrote it on our chalkboard in our kitchen, and we looked at it every day. And I have it tattooed on my chest on top of my port. Because that's so true. Like he made us in a way. Well, he made us in His image, but He made us so we can get through all the stuff that He's throwing at us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and like you said, all the stuff that we've been through in our lives, and all the stuff, it just makes you stronger. It makes you walk through it a little bit differently. And I'm so blessed, and I'm so blessed that I have such a support system. But like just be that light for someone else. That's yeah. And I love that we get to talk about it and that we get to share it with everyone. And I have enjoyed myself. I love it.
Yeah.
It's like cutting your hair, but I'm sitting on a couch and not working.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people, for one thing, I can't imagine. I can't imagine how you felt, what you went through. You can tell me, but I'll never know that feeling.
Right.
But you were a fighter, and you should be very, very, I know you feel blessed, but you should be very proud of yourself. This is something that you should take pride in.
Oh, absolutely.
Because people tend to give up.
Yes.
When they hear something like that, they go, oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying everybody does.
No. But listen.
But people do.
Oh, 100%.
They give up.
There were moments in that journey, and sometimes even now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm at my 6-month mark, so I'm doing all these appointments and all this kind of stuff. But there are moments, like in that instant, when you're like on my knees, like, is this it? Like, is this? I mean, I can remember being in that. Like, Brock was a senior, Camden was in middle school still, and being like, am I going to see her graduate? Where is it? And I remember my dad got sick and he was young, and I was young, but my siblings were very young. And I just kept like, gosh, I don't want that for them, you know, for my kids.
Yeah.
So it's just hard. It's one of those things, but you just pull up your bootstraps and do it. I am proud of it. I'm proud that I'm on the other side.
Yeah, you should be.
And
should be. And
I think that I'm doing well. I think ask John. Like, he might be like, and maybe not. But
well, my grandmother had breast cancer, and my aunt had
yes.
it. My Aunt Cindy, and she's battling. She's having it. She's doing very well. And I'm not 100% sure if it's like, if it's in that period where we have to wait and see what happens or what. But both were fighters.
Yes,
she's a
absolutely.
Fighter. My grandmother was a very strong, independent person from West Virginia, by God, West Virginia. And I think I just think it, like you say, your journey, your story. It's those stories that, when people ask you what's going on, and you're able to share with them that, look, you're not alone, and
Absolutely.
you're not going through this, by yourself. You have a support group, and if you don't, we always have a support group. We always have someone.
100%, and that's why I started posting my journey
Your
on
TikToks,
TikTok.
yep.
And I've had people reach out to me, people I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually had someone. John and I were on a cruise last year, and this guy, we were on a small cruise. We were on the Margaritaville cruise,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Love
we loved it. And shout out to Margaritaville at Sea.
Yeah.
The Goblay show goes.
Yeah, I would love to do a podcast in there. It'd be great.
Yeah, we're traveling. I was on this cruise, and this guy walks up to us, and he's like, "My wife has been watching you all cruise." So then I'm thinking, okay, what?
You're like, what kind of cruise am I on here?
Did we miss the pineapples? I don't know. But he said, she thinks that you are on TikTok. And I was like, really? And I was like, let me go over and meet her. And she goes, oh my gosh, I follow you on TikTok. And she did. She was from South Carolina.
Wow.
And how the algorithm works, like this person and you like this and all that kind of stuff. And next thing I know, I end up on her TikTok, and she saw me on a cruise. But all I can think of, and she gave me a hug.
What are the odds, though?
Right.
Yeah.
That she recognized me.
Yeah.
I mean, so I just think, what if she needed that in that moment? What if she knows somebody that's going through that, or it just all the things. And I've met some really interesting people. I met another gentleman who was going through brain cancer, and is thriving. He's he runs marathons. I would never have met him. I just randomly was standing in line somewhere, and he's going through cancer. He noticed my hair, and or lack thereof, I guess. And he was like, yeah, I've been there. And next thing I know, we're social media friends, and now we're supporting each other, and
Right.
I'm following his journey, and it's just crazy. So yes, you always have a village and always have a network. Now that we have social media and things like that, we can network, and everyone can be a part of everyone else's lives, and used properly and used in the right way.
Yeah.
Then you're here to help each other.
I saw a video the other day talking about social media, and the reason why I put those little reels out of little clips of what we say and stuff on here is in case if anybody needs that help.
Absolutely.
Or if they say, well, I'm the only one going through this, or blah blah blah. And I just want them to know that, look, life's hard already. Let's not make it any more complicated. We're already promised this. Let's not add to the drama. But I saw a video. I've saw it a few times now because it keeps coming on my algorithm. But it's great. It's a mom eating Pizza Hut, and she says, "We're eating Pizza Hut because I'm a bad mom." And she takes a bite, and all of a sudden, while she's chewing, the little kid says, "You're not a bad mom. You're a great mom."
Aww.
And she went, and he goes, "Say it." And she said, "I'm a good mom." And I think and then she just looks at the camera like almost like The Office, like the gym moment, like I've been corrected, But that's something that's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Is for something like that to reset our mindset.
Absolutely. I just think that it's one of those things, if you are going through something and you need someone, or you can find it on your social media. If you can't find it in your village, Google it, breast cancer awareness, breast cancer survivors, you can do it all. And you can find someone. Everyone's out there to just share their story, and more now than ever,
right,
about anything. And like you said, you are strong. And my oncologist is such a good human, but I'll never forget. Like I'm coming into his office. I see him, every other week and during treatment, and I was bald as bald could be, but it was summertime, and so I was not wearing anything on my bald head. It is what it is. Thank goodness. We're gonna tag Bladed Beauty Bar for my tattooed eyebrows because when all those fell out, at least I had eyebrows. And my oncologist was like, "You're so beautiful bald, like maybe you should never grow your hair back." And I was like, maybe we should grow back a little bit of hair. But he was just like, "You should get some photos done." So hashtag Tori Levitt photography, took some photos of me, and I've shared a few of them, and we did many, many more, but took photos of me right after treatment, but I was bald. And I was probably pretty vulnerable, but I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
Because when I look back at those pictures, that's what I see, Billy. That's what I see. I see how strong I was and how resilient I was. And thank goodness he told me to do that. Yeah. He's actually using them for because, he sees a lot of women who lose their hair throughout whatever treatment. And he's like, I want them to understand, you embraced it. You're here. You're wearing your bald head. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I would rock the bald head if people didn't look at you like, oh, yeah, all the time. Like, oh, are you so, I didn't want people to feel like that for me. So it was nice to have a little bit of hair on my head. I'm not going to lie. But I'm so glad that he told me to do that because I do now when I look back at those, and even if I'm the only one that ever looks at them, or ever sees them, I just know that I feel so strong in that because of that. So,
well, I was going to say, you could look at those photos and go, wow.
Yeah.
Is it really that bad?
No, I mean.
Do you know what I'm saying? No, what the situation you're in right now.
No, and you can look back at those and know
really
that.
Bad?
Yeah.
Because I've been where it was bad.
Oh, 100%.
And it's nothing compared to what I went through.
100%.
This is just a bad day.
Pull that picture out and be like, remember those?
Exactly.
Yeah. She took some pictures of my scars, and back then they were really fresh, and it's look at that. Look at where you've come.
Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right. Let me tell you, when I worked at Disney, I worked with a lot of Make-A-Wish kids. And if you want to be humbled, just volunteer at the village. You can volunteer.
Wow.
They let you volunteer. And when you think that you've had a bad day, go there.
Yeah.
Or just because when you see how freaking happy they are.
Right.
And they're dealing with something.
Yeah.
That they have no control over. And they're fighting. That makes you feel about this tall.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It just, again, it goes back to perspective. It puts everything in perspective, right? It just kind of, it makes you realize, we're again, I keep using the same words, but we're so blessed, and that you're here and you're able to walk through. I'm able to, I saw my baby graduate. I saw, I saw Brock play in college. All those things, I get to play with my grandchildren.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
of that, and. Look back at those pictures and be like, so glad I took that advice. And if you're in it, just record a podcast or record a video of yourself.
Yep.
And then go back and rewatch those and see where your mindset has changed. Mm-hmm. See where what has changed about your perspective. That'll wake you up.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I mean, it's already that way if you look at something that you've something that you videoed 20 years ago. Or 15 years ago. Yeah. And you go, what was I doing? Like an idiot.
Right.
I would take photos and with guests in the park, and they'd send them to me, I'm like, there's one of me, I have to post it.
Please do.
There's one of me. I'm at Magic Kingdom now. When I first worked there, when I first started, we had a purple polo. Like, just think of regular purple, dark blue collar.
Okay.
Blue slacks.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds like a fit, man.
Oh yeah. We were greeters. That was our intent. I'm wearing slacks in 105-degree heat outside with black shoes on, you know. So I'm in the grotto with Ariel, and there's a picture of me with. Now this must have been. I'm hoping it was wintertime because it was never cold in the grotto. I have a jacket on. It's a green jacket, and I've got a cup that I just probably put, like somebody had yanked off the wall, and we put it like just to prop it up there to kind of, you know, like all her thingamabobs, you know. And I've got a spoon, and I'm. I see that picture now and I go, a guest took that picture and sent it with like this, like that I forgot what they used to call them, but it was like a cast member thing where they would go, hey, we had a great experience. It was like a 5-star thing.
Oh, yeah, like where they would like go and meet somebody and then they would rate like
like a review, like one of the earlier reviews you get. And here I am. Like, what am I doing? And it's ridiculous, but it's me. But I look at it now and I'm like, what were you doing?
Well, that's okay. Just like, listen, in a week, you and I are going to be like, we spent an hour talking about bread and Jaws. What do we do?
Bread and Jaws go hand in hand, I'm telling you.
The Kinley's turning Amish.
Actually, we're at a let's see, an hour and 23 right now.
I know,
so
I love it.
Yeah, but it's going smooth, and that's the thing is.
I think it's great. I love it.
I think it's very important to spread the word about being aware of something that is. If it wasn't such a big deal, they wouldn't have it all over the place. We wouldn't wear pink. The NFL would not have it on the. They wouldn't have the pink towels and the pink cleats.
Well, it's so common, and if you do your research, and right now I know several women that are within a couple of years of age of me, which is technically like, quote unquote, like we're kind of young to have been diagnosed.
Right.
Up until just recently, those people weren't diagnosed. So it leads you to believe that either A, it's environmental. Right. B, it's in our, I guess food could be environmental as well, but it's in our food. Or it was something that we were given in like when we were younger, which for me, I wholeheartely believe that it probably spurred from some sort of like birth control that I was on when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. Drug companies, and like, this isn't a big pharma conversation or whatever, but like, there's always like those 2 or 3 brands that they use. Like everybody gets diagnosed or gets given that, you know what I mean? Like, right. and it's always been that way. Like they're the popular ones or they're the new ones that just came out. And so there were probably, when I was in my 20s, there was probably, 4 different options for birth control. And those women that are all my age, we all end up with hormonal driven breast cancer.
Some kind of cancer, yeah.
It's interesting to see where that goes and how that takes us. So those are the things that you want to be aware of. And the age of diagnosis is getting younger and younger and younger. So again, where is that coming from? Yeah. And so Breast Cancer Awareness Month just really is about becoming aware of that, making like yourself self-assured that you're being treated and following treatments and early diagnosis and finding everything early. But it's also about spreading the word and forwarding the research to know that so that they can know what causes this. Right. Like, I was in my early 40s when I was diagnosed. Now there are people in their 30s that are being diagnosed and they don't have any kind of genetic, we used to blame like the BRCA gene and this gene, and I've done all that genetic testing and I don't have any of those things. Right. So there are other things that cause it, and that's what's important about making everyone aware, and that's why we wear pink and all that kind of stuff. Like I love a good pink, and so I want everyone to know that.
Is the exterior of your home or business covered in dirt, mildew, or mold? Driveway or walkway stain? Pressure King can make your siding, deck, vents, and concrete look new again with no damage. Pressure King has cleaned the exterior of houses and businesses all over Sumter County area. Usually it takes less than a day and costs less than you would expect. Call AJ at 352-457-7209. Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing gear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kenningston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store.
But yeah, thank you for letting me be able to share that with them, and we can just be it proud. Hopefully this is something that we go back and we play every October. Like it can be like the replay, the breast cancer awareness replay.
Well, I think, like when we had talked about it, I was like, man, why didn't I do this last year? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why did I wait till now to
last year,
think about
imagine if we'd have done it like last year versus this year. Last year I was bald and in treatment, and it would have been it. So we'll just have to do it from now here forward. You know, and make sure that there's no more recurrences or anything like that. See where we are.
Right.
See where we are a year from now.
Right.
And go from that. I love that. And hopefully we've encouraged some people and helped them in their journey if they're in the middle of it. So, and if they're not, then they're, and like I said, I'm taking an anti-hormone pill that I have to take every day. And so we'll see how that's going. Maybe my mood will get better, and
Right.
like for John,
Right.
and maybe, you know, all of that will have changed or be a little bit different. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Well, I also want to throw a shout out to John because he took very good care of you.
Oh my gosh.
But you know, they always say behind every great man is a great woman. I believe that wholeheartedly, but you know, sometimes that man has to take care of that woman.
Agreed.
And vice versa.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. My wife takes great care of me. I can't complain, and but I try to do the same for her. That's marriage. I mean,
Absolutely. He does take such good care of me. And in all of that, he took such good care of me.
Yeah.
My friends took such good care of me.
Yeah.
But yes, he was there through all of it. He gets when you're with a spouse, you know, when it's your spouse, he gets to see the low parts. You know, he got to see me not feeling good. He got to see me crying. He got to see me, there was a little, all right, real quick, before we go, I have to get to homecoming here, but before I go, we're going to talk about, so I had this little bout with medicinal marijuana during my treatment. It is not for me. It is just not for me. I was like, okay, we're just going to go whole hog. This last part, the way my breast cancer treatment worked is I had 2 separate chemos. Right. And so like for 8 weeks, I had what stuff, they call it the red devil, the hazmat suit, can't get on anybody, and they give it to you. And it makes you feel kind of crummy. The second part is Taxol, and it is more of like it's like to prevent it long term, but
right.
It's used often in different types of cancers and things like that. But it would feel like you were being tasered by like a little mini taser all over your body. It would like just make your like muscles just like kind of freeze up, and it was just awful. And it really started to take its toll on me. And so, you know, I had some medicinal marijuana, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. You know, I've talked to some friends who have experienced it, and it helps their symptoms. And you know, the dispensary guy's like, hey, you know, it'll help your symptoms. And I'm like, okay, well, give it a go.
And also get a Domino's pizza while you're at it.
Billy, I couldn't even think about Domino's pizza. I was like, I'm blinking my eyes. John's like, can you not blink? And like, thank goodness he's my safe person. So he was there, and like I needed a safe person. Like, I just had chemo yesterday, and I feel like,
oh my gosh.
But I was like, this is the last chemo treatment. We're just gonna go whole hog. Like it's gonna make you feel better.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I just realized my kids are gonna hear this. Okay. was medicinal. So, anyways, so I take it and I'm in my bedroom and I walk out to the living room and I'm like sitting there on the couch with John and I'm like blinking my eyes and he's like, so marijuana's not for you. Can I do anything for you? And I was like, I think I need to go back to the bedroom. And he's like, you just came out here. I'm like, I'm gonna need you to help me. So he was like, okay. And not, just being himself, he's like, okay. So he's like walking me down the hallway. And then I puked worse than I did for all other 16 treatments. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, puked my guts up. So it was not for me. It is not for everyone. I am 100% sure it helps people, but it did not help me.
Well, everybody's different, but do you think that your body was just, because it was going through so much, that it just rejected that as well? Thinking,
I don't know. In my mind, and when I talked about it with my doctors and when I talked about it with John, it's what I was trying to get to, and what I'm still trying to get to is like just to be more holistic and to be like, I'm already putting this poison in my body. Let's do something that's natural.
Right.
But it was not for me.
Right.
So
that's so weird, though.
It was crazy. It was just not for me. And so I was like, okay, we're done with that. Like, we're just gonna fight through it. Give me some ibuprofen. Like give me some Tylenol, because that is not for me. So that was my experience with that. So if it works for you, then that's fantastic. I think that's great. But it did not work for me. It's just one of those things where it made me, I don't know, I thought I'd be older. Like, what do I have to be paranoid about? Like someone's coming for you. The police are knocking on the door. They're not.
Well, I think people adjust to different things. Like, sometimes, like, I could take 3 Tylenols and I'll be like, hey. Oh. I mean, but then another time I'll take, what is that? I do it, like, I'll get joint pain.
Oh, like Aleve.
Yeah. Basically, it's Aleve.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sodium. Yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'll take that, and oh my gosh, it's nothing. But I'm like, and then I'll take some. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different. How sometimes it's like, Nicole, she can't do NyQuil because it makes her
So I'm super
crazy.
sensitive to Tylenol as well. So it's the acetaminophen. There's something in it, and it's like, you want Stacy to go to sleep? Take a nap, or take a Tylenol, and she'll take a nap. So
see, I can't. I got NyQuil. I got 20 minutes. I'm knocked out. But it's just not for everybody, is what I'm saying. So I mean, I can understand, and I don't think everybody realizes that the medicinal marijuana thing is what it. I mean, you're talking about people that have never done anything like that. So they're like, okay, we're going to get this, but then what if it doesn't work? Like that, like your situation.
It didn't. So I literally would just like be curled up. And that was probably the worst part of it is, and I really just thought like, okay, this is the last one. Like, let's just, we know it's going to be miserable for the next 4 days. So let's try to make it better. And it didn't work. But just to know that, and that's why I want to share my story. And that's what we want to do, is just to be able to get people to understand that, like, okay, that didn't work. Just because it doesn't work for you doesn't, it didn't work for me either. Like, that's apparently not my thing. It's not something I can do, and I won't ever do it again. I'll, it was awful. So, and it's just a story that John and I have that we'll laugh about forever. Like, remember that one time?
Well, like you said, when people go through the chemo and the radiation, their bodies react differently. You can go in there, and some people, it doesn't really, I mean, it's still going to put a toll on your body, but there are different levels of pain.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
It could almost knock you to your knees, and there's people that I've heard that are like, I don't ever want to do that again. And then I've heard some people go, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So for me, like, I'm already dark. Like, my skin is dark. So radiation, I have seen some gnarly burns. I have seen some pictures of some people who have just gotten so burnt from radiation, because it's like they can like pinpoint it, and you're using this high level laser with the radiation, and people have just really gotten so burnt. And I'm so fortunate because that did not happen to me.
Right.
Now I am shriveled up like a raisin, and I've got some scar tissue now that like has atrophied because of the radiation, but like I didn't get burnt, thank goodness. And I was sick during chemo, but I wasn't I mean, I didn't feel good. I was so tired. But I wasn't hugging a toilet every day. You know, like it was just different for everyone. The muscle spasms were terrible, like joint pain. Like it just feels like, I can't even explain it. It's what I would imagine maybe arthritis, like really bad, like rheumatoid arthritis feels. Like it would feel like my fingers were like twisting on themselves like a tree.
Oh, wow.
It was the weirdest thing. I still can't feel some of my fingers and toes, like the tips of them. Like I still have some neuropathy, which is a side effect of the chemo.
Right.
But I'm above the ground and I'm here, so we're okay with it. We can figure that out. Billy, I hate to cut us short in the middle of our thing.
What I'll do is we will sign off because I know you're busy. But I really wanted to thank you for coming out.
It.
And I need a haircut.
I got you. I'll text you later. Not today. Not on homecoming day.
No. But Stacy, I appreciate you coming over. And taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you got a lot going on, and it's football season. I know it's crunch time right now.
We're in the thick of it. Like if you are a football wife, if you are a football spouse, then right now when you're in the thick of it, like we've got like 3 games a week, you know, between Camden and John and Brock. So it's a lot, but we'll make it through. We'll be on the other side.
Exactly. Well, guys, thank you for joining us.
Billy, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Stacy, thanks for coming again. I want to thank our sponsors for all they do. Without your help, this wouldn't be possible. So continued support. Thank you for that. And guys, until next time, we'll see you later. Take care. Bye, everybody.